there is no evidence Donald Trump wants to keep people in because of their skin colour or throw them out because of their skin colour.
Actually, there's a lot of reporting from the first term where he says, why can't we have more people from Sweden, less people from shithole countries?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down an absolutely explosive confrontation between Piers Morgan and Mehdi Hasan, where things get heated over immigration policy, deportations, and whether what's happening at the border right now is actually legal. Mehdi comes armed with court cases, specific examples, and accusations of constitutional violations, while Piers pushes back hard, trying to defend the administration's record. You're going to want to see how this plays out, because the arguments get more intense as it goes on. Before we jump in, drop a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from today. I always love hearing from you guys around the world. Alright, let's get into this.
Be deported.
Yes.
Good. So then we got a bit of agreement on that. Do you agree that reducing the number of people coming over the southern border illegally from the many millions, depending what you want to report, you want to believe, 8 to 12 million is reported to have come over in the Biden administration 4 years? Do you agree that reducing that...
It's not 8 to 12 million, that's a bullshit. That's a nonsense number.
Well, how many do you think it is?
2 to 4 million.
How many?
I think it's about 2 to 4 million. Is what the experts I talk to say 2 to 4 million.
Okay, so millions. Do you accept that reducing that to
Yes.
just a few thousand a month is a good thing?
Not if it ends the right to asylum, which is America's right under America's obligation, apologies, under international law and American law. Donald Trump, no, hold on, Piers. You can't just elide that. Donald Trump has ended the right to asylum effectively in this country. That is outrageous. It is illegal.
But he hasn't, though, has he?
Do you support ending the right to asylum?
No,
he has. He has, actually. He's ended the right to asylum effectively in this country.
You can still claim asylum.
No, that's not true, Piers.
You can.
That's not true. That is not true.
You can still claim asylum in the United States.
ICE agents are picking up... Piers, no... In fact, not only can you not claim asylum at the southern border, you're being rejected, but people in the middle of asylum hearings in courtrooms in America, on camera, are being grabbed in the middle of their asylum hearings by ICE officers. Judges are calling this out, Piers, and I assume, again, you support a right to asylum as a British citizen in the UK, the US, every developed country.
I do,
supports
but I also...
a right to asylum. Donald Trump has ended that. And by the way, Stephen Miller is openly opposed to that. So there's no point defending people who don't want you to defend them.
I'm not defending anybody.
They're openly opposed to this.
I'm about to tell you that I think that I think the fact that we both
agree...
You just told me to
praise Trump's record at the border.
Look,
I think Trump's horrific record.
I think if Trump had stuck to deporting people who committed crimes when they're undocumented in the United States, that would have had widespread approval. I do not like...
which every president
I do not like this chilling sense of fear that everyone undocumented in America currently has because of the extraordinary work they do for the US economy. Never mind anything else. Never mind the humanity.
Not just undocumented, Piers. What about the legal... Hold on, not just undocumented. What about legal immigrants? He's detained green card holders. He's going after American citizens.
I don't think it's right.
They've set up a committee...
I don't think it's right.
So, okay, you don't think it's right. Do you think it's authoritarian? You're not worried about the direction of travel in the US, where 2/3 of Republicans basically identify as authoritarians in polls, where a majority of Republicans tell pollsters, we think Trump shouldn't follow the courts or Congress? You're not worried by that?
Well, of course he should follow courts, but I think that in relation to the immigration issue, that the vast majority of Americans I've seen interviewed, right, doesn't necessarily mean that is the majority of the country, but most people think if you're in the country illegally, that isn't something to be applauded. I know that when I wanted to go to America and get a home there, which I have, and work in America, I had to go through a laborious, quite painstaking, quite expensive process of getting a visa, for example, right? That is the normal way people operate in other countries. So that is how a lot of people do it. They do it the legal way. We have the same issue in the United Kingdom with people coming over on boats from France in the tens of thousands, right? It is annoying to those who do things the right way. So I understand that, but I also understand you cannot just deport every undocumented person in America. It would create complete mayhem. It would wreck the economy. It's unworkable, and it's also intrinsically unfair if someone's been there for a few years, has family born in the United States, is working and paying taxes and contributing to the economy. I think it's not right that those people should be picked up and thrown out. Right? Now, so there are lots of complexities to this, and I agree with a lot of it, probably along with you. I just don't think that you can ignore, as Joy Reid wanted to, what Obama did for 8 years as a Democrat president and as a black, and as the first black president.
Piers, come on, Piers. I get that you need to do this both sides shtick for your show, but Obama is not relevant. Obama did not defy the Supreme Court.
I actually do look at both sides.
Well, okay, point to me. Well, Piers, point to me then. I'll give you as long. I've got to go soon, but I'll give you as long as you want before I go. When did Obama defy the Supreme Court on immigration? He didn't. When did he defy lower court judges? He didn't. Joe Biden didn't either.
This is where the entire defense collapses, because Mehdi just laid out something that should terrify every single American, regardless of politics. When he said, Donald Trump has ended the right to asylum effectively in this country. That is outrageous. It is illegal. He wasn't being hyperbolic. He was describing a fundamental violation of both domestic and international law. The right to asylum isn't some progressive talking point. It's enshrined in the 1951 Refugee Convention that America signed. It's literally written into U.S. immigration law. And what's happening right now is a complete abandonment of that legal framework. But here's what makes this even worse. Mehdi described how people in the middle of asylum hearings in courtrooms in America on camera are being grabbed in the middle of their asylum hearings by ICE officers. Stop and think about that for a second. You're sitting in a courtroom. A judge is presiding over your case. You're going through the legal process. And armed agents just walk in and remove you. That's not enforcement. That's kidnapping under color of law. Even Piers had to admit, I also understand you cannot just deport every undocumented person in America. It would create complete mayhem. It would wreck the economy. And you know what? He's absolutely right about that. But then he tries to pivot to the both sides argument by bringing up the previous administration. And Mehdi shut that down immediately. Obama is not relevant. Obama did not defy. Because here's the truth that people need to understand. We're not talking about deportation numbers. We're talking about constitutional violations and defiance of court orders.
So we're talking about the courts here, right? Judges, Trump-appointed judges, Piers. A Trump-appointed judge said earlier this year that an American child was expelled, deported from this country, even though you can't legally deport an American citizen, but was kidnapped and taken out of this country without meaningful process. That is the words of a Trump-appointed judge. You cannot find an equivalent for Barack Obama, and I carry no water for Obama on immigration. One thing I've got to say on undocumented folks, some of these people, not just here a few years, they picked up an Iranian woman, a grandmother in her front yard gardening, who'd been here since 1979. She came as a child. Her family claimed asylum after the Iranian Revolution. They picked up and detained her. This is insane. And by the way, the polls show, Piers, that Americans do want deportations, but when they're asked more detailed questions, do you support people who've been here for many years? Do you support people who've committed no crimes? Do you support deporting people who want a pathway to citizenship? They don't support deporting those people. They support, like you and I do, deporting violent criminals, which Biden was doing, Trump did, Obama did. Everyone agrees on that. What he's doing right now, and what Stephen Miller is doing, Piers, just so your viewers know, Stephen Miller went to ICE and said, you better round up 3,000 people a day. He's given them an arbitrary number. And ICE people are saying, we can't do this. It's not possible. He said, just go to 7-Eleven, go to Home Depot, and just round people up. They're doing racial profiling, Piers. They're just grabbing brown people, Latino folks off the streets who are American citizens. And they're saying very clearly why they want to do this, right? They want to make, when they say they want to make America great again, it's because they want to go back to a whiter America, a less browner America. That is Stephen Miller's vision. That is, you get Stephen Miller on Piers and ask him.
They've not said that. They've not said that.
Stephen Miller is a white nationalist. Stephen Miller is a white nationalist who spent a career enabling and promoting white nationalism. It's all on the record.
But there is no evidence Donald Trump wants to keep people in because of their skin colour or throw them out because of their skin colour.
Actually, there's a lot of reporting from the first term where he says, why can't we have more people from Sweden, less people from shithole countries? So I'm pretty sure I know what he was talking about when he was talking about Swedish folks.
Well, he's probably talking about the 7 countries which Obama banned people from coming in from because of their terror record. Was he?
He didn't ban entire peoples from coming in. He
Actually,
put them on a terror
that was
list,
the farce
I don't agree with.
That was the farce when Trump did it. The left all went nuts, and it turned out Obama done exactly the same thing.
He didn't ban everyone from coming in. By the way, Donald Trump in December 2015 said we need to ban every Muslim coming into the United States. Do you support that Islamophobic, racist position?
He said, if I remember accurately what he said, it was after an appalling terror attack where I think over 50 people got murdered. And he said, we're going to have a short-term suspension on people coming in from the same countries that Obama had done this to.
No, he didn't.
Until
he said every Muslim.
Until we figure out what's going on.
Not true, Piers. People can Google it right now. You're wrong and I'm right, as ever. He said all Muslims will be banned from coming into the United States. He didn't say anything about 7 countries. That's what it became when he came into office. But he said he wanted to ban all Muslims from coming in. Surely you disagree with that.
No, Mehdi.
The moment Mehdi brought up what happened to that American child, you could see Piers had absolutely no response. Listen to what Mehdi said. A Trump-appointed judge said earlier this year that an American child was expelled, deported from this country, even though you can't legally deport an American citizen, but was kidnapped and taken out of this country without meaningful process. A Trump-appointed judge used the word kidnapped, not a liberal activist, not a progressive commentator. A judge appointed by the very administration doing this. That tells you how far outside the bounds of law this has gone. But it gets so much worse. Mehdi exposed exactly how this system operates. He revealed that Stephen Miller went to ICE and said, "You better round up 3,000 people a day." He's given them an arbitrary number. An arbitrary number. Not based on criminal records, not based on court orders, just a quota, like they're harvesting crops instead of dealing with human beings and legal processes. And then came the most damning part. The instruction was literally, just go to 7-Eleven, go to Home Depot, and just round people up. That's racial profiling as official policy. And when Piers tried to claim there's no evidence of racial motivation, Mehdi destroyed that instantly with the Sweden versus whole countries quote. That one statement revealed everything about the actual ideology driving this. Because when someone says, there's a lot of reporting from the first term where he says, why can't we have more people from Sweden, less people from whole countries? You're not talking about geography. You're talking about race. Full stop.
In the end, I always say with Trump, act on what he does, not what comes out of his mouth, right? You don't like that.
And I've been telling you, I've got to run, but I've been telling you for the last 20 minutes what he's been doing, and you partly agreed with me. But now at the end, because you've got to do the both sides stuff, you've got to defend Trump.
How many countries
you don't agree with picking up Latinos outside of Home Depot? Piers, you don't agree. You don't agree with picking people up outside Home Depot.
How many Muslim countries in the end did Trump ban people coming in from?
I think 5, if memory serves me correctly.
I think it was 7. The same 7 Obama had done. That's my point. You can't ignore history. You can't just pretend Obama didn't do exactly the same thing.
Obama did not ban Muslims from coming into the US. He did not say Islam hates us. He did not say that. He did not tell Muslim members of Congress to go back to where they came from. I remember when you came on my show, Piers, and I read out the quote to you, where he told the 4 members of the squad to go back to the countries they came from, and you would not call it a racist statement, but it was a racist statement. You know it, and I know it, and everyone watching knows it.
Mehdi,
and everything they said to me on Jubilee, by the way, is stuff that Trump has said, or a version of.
It's not. I think it diminishes your argument. When you're faced with actual people saying, I'm a fascist, it's hard.
Where do you think they're getting it from? These people, many of them are Trump supporters, Piers. Many of them are Trump supporters. So? Where do you think they're getting it from? They're proud Trump supporters.
Every political leader has appalling people that follow them. Every one of them. You tell me one in America who hasn't.
But only one pardoned the violent criminals who supported him. Only one. And his name is Donald J. Trump. And I assume you don't support those pardons either.
Joe Biden pardoned all his family, who many people think are a bunch of criminals. What's the difference?
And Donald Trump pardoned people who beat police with pipes. There's a big difference, Piers, as you know.
Is there? We don't know. We'll never find out.
Always a pleasure.
We'll never find out what the Biden family did in relation to the crime because they've all been pardoned.
Here's where Piers always falls back on the same tired defense. He says act on what he does, not what comes out of his mouth. But Mehdi had been spending the entire segment describing exactly what was being done. The court defiance, the asylum violations, the arbitrary quotas, the racial profiling. So when Piers tries that line, Mehdi just reminds him, I've been telling you for the last 20 minutes what he's been doing. This is the classic move. When you can't defend the actions, you pretend the words don't matter. But the words and the actions align perfectly. When Mehdi pointed out that Donald Trump in December 2015 said we need to ban every Muslim coming into the United States, that wasn't just rhetoric. That became the foundation for actual policy. And when Mehdi reminded everyone about the go back statement, how he told the 4 members of the squad to go back to the countries they came from, 3 of those 4 women were born in America. That's not a policy disagreement. That's telling American citizens they don't belong because of their race and religion. And you know what's brilliant about how Mehdi ended this? When Piers tried the whataboutism with family pardons, Mehdi came back with the cleanest possible response. Only one pardoned the violent criminals who supported him. Only one. And his name is Donald J. Trump. Because here's what people need to remember. We're comparing family members who were never convicted of violent crimes to people who were literally filmed beating police officers and storming the Capitol. There's no equivalence. None. This entire exchange showed you exactly how authoritarian policy gets normalized. You start with inflammatory rhetoric. Then you implement policies that violate established law. Then, when people object, you say everyone does it, even though they demonstrably don't. And before you know it, judges are using words like kidnapped to describe what the government is doing to its own citizens. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.